So, hi, I'm Julia, and I'm here to share my testimony with you. Well, basically, it's a story about how Jesus changed my life. So, this started about 5 years ago when I was an international student, originally from China, but lived in Durham, North Carolina, and I had a very bloody divorce just happened to me. So it was very tough, but I really could now not think this experience more because I was very sad and I realized that I no longer had a purpose. I no longer had a purpose of life. Around the same time, I struggled and tried to find some meaning of my life after my ex-husband left me. And there were two people in the circle of my friends who were Christians, and they started to share with me the love of Jesus. So they started to tell me that Jesus loves you and he can save you from your problems. And actually I pretended to be strong, and I would like to listen to them about this Jesus. A little further background about me: I was born and raised in China. My grandma was a Christian, but I had no interest in personally following the God that she believes in. Although I knew that when she prayed, things happen. And before my exams, I would call her and say, "Hey, grandma, would you pray for me?" And she would, and I would have good scores. But I would not want to make her Lord, my Lord, because I thought, well, it's great that her God is powerful and wants to help me, but it's too big a price of making him my Lord. That means that I would follow him and cannot make my own decisions on everything, and that was a too high price for me. I wanted my own independence. I wanted to be the Lord of my life. So I had this kind of mentality for a long time until after divorce, I started to encounter people who shared Jesus' love with me, but I was very resistant to that and thought, well, I don't really know if Christianity is another story among many different worldviews and physiologies, and until my advisor in school revealed to me that he was a Christian, and that blew me away because this man started to minister to me. I mean, he started to love on me just like I'm a daughter of his, disregarding he was my boss and he really could boss around me. But so I was just really confused for 3 months. I said, why would he do that? And I didn't understand. Why could this man be so loving and be so forgiving? And until after 3 months that he told me that he followed Jesus, and that was the first time that I ever encountered someone who really spent time with me every day, and I knew what his life was like, the impossible life filled with love. And that was the first time that Christianity started to have credibility in my heart. And then I started to use my mind when I'm in church for services, and I started to engage my mind and try to think whether this makes sense or not. And during the same time, my depression, well, back then I didn't have the knowledge that I had depression, but I felt a lot of sadness every day, which I know is depression, but back then I really only wanted to yield to it and commit suicide. So the temptation to commit suicide grew stronger and stronger until 7th month after my divorce, I decided to commit suicide. That was the point of time that I realized that, well, I'm the
I'll cut that out and we'll come back in.
That's fine. So that was the point of time that I realized that Lord, I'm the worst Lord ever because I wanted to give up my life. And it was so strong, I could not resist. Because, I mean, if you're honest with yourself, and that was what I thought was so reasonable, that hey, there are so many people in the world, and many people want to live, and many people lack resources that they need to survive. And you don't even want to live, and you're taking up so much space, you're breathing so much air, you're eating so much food every day without producing anything. Because of depression, I had so low energy level that I really considered myself as doing nothing, producing nothing, doing nothing that is good for the world. And why don't you just die? Why don't you just die and give the opportunity to live to somebody else? And it was such a strong voice in me, combined with other thoughts that was as negative. And I could not find a reason to continue to live. But that was when Jesus continued to speak to me that, hey, I can save you. I can save you.
Helicopters. It's good now.
But Jesus continued to speak to me and say, through the people around me, I can save you. I can save you. I can save you. No other person, it's not my parents, it's not my friends, no other person, organization, or belief would claim that they could do that for me. And so I decided that I would give Jesus a chance. I didn't want my life anymore. So 4 years ago, March 23rd, I made a decision and I accepted Jesus into my heart. Well, immediately after that, nothing happened. I was like, wow, weird. Because, I mean, my friends would let me to pray to accept Jesus, were congratulating me and applauding to me. I was like, I didn't feel anything that was changing. And I kind of felt disappointed and mad, and I just went home disappointed and went to bed. The next morning, well, I woke up and I went to the tap to try to wash my hands when I heard a very strong, almost audible but not, the strong impression that was speaking in my heart said, congratulations. So this impression, this voice in my heart with warmth, a love and strength said, you made it. Congratulations, I'm so proud of you. I knew it was so hard for you to struggle all your way through and made it here. You have done such a good job. Good job. And the voice continued to say, it said that, but now you don't need to be worried anymore. You don't need to be fearful or anxious anymore. You can rest because you are home. That was the first time that I experienced God speaking to me in a clear, powerful way. And I fell to the floor and cried my eyes out. And that was the same time that I experienced the freedom from the voice in my head that constantly spoke to me to persuade me to commit suicide. And that was the moment that voice stopped speaking and it never returned. And that was when I was delivered supernaturally from suicidal thoughts. A year and a half later, I was completely healed from depression. There was just many miracles happened along the way, and throughout the process, I didn't take any depression medication. it was just a pure miracle. And 4 years after, I'm alive. I know every breath that I'm breathing is by itself a miracle and a proof that God is here. And I'm very thankful. Thank you for listening and watching.